welcome or welcome back to my channel. So today I am building a family home in Glimmerbrook. This is a kind of fantasy medieval inspired homestead. It's I wouldn't say it was big enough to be a farm. There are cows and chickens. I've included an orchard and quite a few gardening plots, but I wouldn't say that it was particularly big enough to be called a farm. There's plenty of space to grow crops and things for the country, no, not the country thing, the simple living lot challenge. If you wanted to grow your own crops and things for cooking, yeah, I don't think there's probably enough to sell, but there's plenty for your Sims to cook with. This isn't a pack restricted or budget restricted build. I basically just used whatever I wanted with this one. Usually I find that when I do kind of just let myself use whatever I want, I still tend to stick with the same sort of packs. So I've used a lot of Get Together, Cats and Dogs, Seasons, and Cottage Living. To be honest, I think they're probably going to be my comfort packs now. They're definitely ones that I'm probably going to use all of the time. This roofing is from Island Living. I did originally want to use the Cottage Living one, but I don't know, the colors just weren't bright enough for me. I still wanted to use these dormer windows from Cottage Living, and I did manage to kind of match the swatches with this first one. I do change my mind a couple times throughout the video, you will see, when I was trying to find a swatch that matched, because the window wood tones don't match the windows that I have picked in the end. I was really trying to get them to match, but I just couldn't do it. So as you can see, I have used my favorite walling from Get Together. I use this like all the time, and I think it just is a really nice wall. If you can say that's a nice wall. It's definitely one that I use all the time, as you will know if you have seen any of my videos before. I use it a lot, and you know, my kind of favorite building style is this medieval fantasy sort of look, and it just goes really well. It's definitely, I guess, made with that style in mind. So even though it's meant to be Tudor, it's not. I don't know. It's just a nice one that I use all the time. The one on the roof is from Cats and Dogs, I think. I was going to use one from Snowy Escape, but I just couldn't get the color to match up right. It wasn't quite red enough. This wood tone has got a very kind of red undertone to it, which I really like, and the Snowy Escape one was, I don't know, a little bit more grey. I don't really know. It had more of like a bluey undertone than a red one. I choose these windows from University. I was going to use the base game ones that you saw me put down, but I didn't like the fact that they had such bright white frames. They just stood out a little bit too much. So I really like the ones from Discover University, even though they have this like yellow on the inside. It didn't really match that well, but from far away you can't really see it. I do add quite a bit of detail in the end to these roof pieces, which I really liked the look of. I add some window boxes, and then a little bit nearer the end of doing the exterior I add some more roof decorations. I think I used the one from Cottage Living, and then I use I think it's meant to be a fence. I've used it before from Get Together just to put on the top. It just, to me, makes it look a little bit more interesting. So I did use an inspiration picture for this build, which I do quite a lot. I will link my Pinterest in the description if you would like to see it, because I do believe it's a copyrighted image, so I can't include it unfortunately, but it is a really nice picture. So if you want to see what it looks like, then there will be a link down below for you. So that is my shell pretty much done, and now we move on to some landscaping. I add a little kind of stream and then this pond over to the side, which I put a waterfall from Island Living in. Yeah, I didn't use I usually use the Discover University one, but it's a little bit big, especially for this lot. I think I've used it on this lot before, but it's just a little bit too big for the tiny little space that I allocated for it. I smoothed all of the terrain out underneath this like little stream part because I wanted to be able to paint it with the terrain paint, whereas you can see under the like main pool section it's a little bit too steep, so I can't paint that back section, but that's under rocks and waterfall in the end, so it doesn't matter too much. The reason I kept it so shallow, like I said, I wanted to paint it, but also your Sims can walk through it and play in it and the animation doesn't look all messed up because some of them that I've built before, my Sims have gone to play in the water, and because it's not completely smooth, like the terrain's not completely smooth, and it does go very like steep all of a sudden, the animation is a little bit odd. But with this one I tried to make sure it was smooth, so the animation looks about right. So I have used these two items. You can see I've pulled them out from my library. I downloaded these from Fantasim's gallery page. They are debug items from the game, so they don't count as like custom content or anything, but you can't access them through the normal debug menu. You have to have Arnie's, I think it's world build mod or something, I don't remember what it's called, but I don't have that mod. But Fantasims does have it, and she has kindly uploaded these items to the gallery for everyone, so I just pulled those from her page to use here. I did originally want to use the water wheel, that came with Cottage Living, but I really liked the look of this one. The wood tones matched what I wanted, and it's got like a nice, I don't know, like an animated feature to it where you can see like water droplets and things from it. So this waterfall has got a huge footprint, so I elevated it from the basement. I've elevated quite a lot of things from the basement in this build. I have also used Sati's animal shed tutorial in this, so I needed to have items in the basement for that anyway, which you'll see a little bit later. I really wanted to use some animated objects in this, so like the water wheel, and the other item that I've already put down is this kind of, I don't really know what it is, it's like a water thing. It's from Snowy Escape. I think you get the frame, you can access the frame in the debug menu but not the animated water, this bit that I'm moving here, and it just looks really nice. The other things that I have included, or there's one other thing I've included, is I've made like a windmill. So the two packs that I try not to use are My First Pet Stuff and Journey to Batu, because I think they're probably the two packs that are the least owned. I could be wrong, but those are the two packs that I kind of have seen the most displease over, I suppose. I really like them both, but maybe I'm the odd one out, I don't know. But one of the items that comes in Journey to Batu is kind of like an animated propeller, and I think it looks really nice. And I was playing around in like with the debug items and came across this windmill frame from Strangerville and put them together, and I think they look really good. They don't look exactly like a windmill, but I still think they look pretty cool. So right now I am trying to create these animal sheds from Sati's tutorial. The footage here is a little bit jumpy because I was watching the tutorial whilst I was building, so sorry if it's a little bit kind of stop-start. I did try and cut all of the pauses out. But I wanted to create like a little storage area here, where I've tried to I've tried to create like a barn door style with these doors from cats and dogs. I've resized them and then end up deleting the wall behind it. I'm not sure whether it exactly looks like a barn door, but I still like it. I have moved it along the wall just a little bit more than what it is now, so that the opening is a little bit bigger. I wasn't really sure what to put in here, but I end up just putting some bits and pieces in there. I think the tires or the wheels from the tractor are in there. There's like a giant bale of hay, and I've also included the candle making station as like a skill building item. I wasn't really sure what type of skill building items to include in this. It's not off the grid, so I didn't need to worry about like using electricity or anything. But whenever I have built this style of build before, I've always just stuck with the woodworking table because to me that's the most appropriate. But I wanted to try something a little bit different this time, so I've included the candle making station instead. I've also included an art easel in one of the bedrooms as well. I wanted to give a little bit more option, but I kind of felt a bit limited. I didn't want to include too many electronics. I haven't it's not an off the grid lot, so I didn't want to include like TVs or anything, but I did think like I could get away with a couple of the lights. So there is one particular light that I really wanted to use from, I think it's from Get Together. It's like a candle ceiling light, but it uses electricity, and I really wish that it didn't. But I've included that a couple times, and once I'd done that, I then thought, well, I'm already using electricity for that particular light, so I might as well just not worry about it. I haven't included like a computer or TVs or anything. I didn't want to go over the top, but there's plenty of space for you to add one if you do want to include it. I thought it's, you know, it's very fantasy themed, so it doesn't matter. So this is the windmill that I was talking about earlier. I think it looks really nice. It doesn't look exactly like a windmill, I don't think, but I still like the look of it, and it's animated, so I think that's pretty cool. We don't have that many like animated items, I don't think, which is strange. I would have thought we would have more, but we don't. So I tried to include as many as I possibly could. I'm not really sure what happened to my watermill at this point. My watermill? No, my waterfall. It like jumped halfway back off the lot, and I don't know when that happened, but I do end up moving it. So here I wanted to create like a little orchard, so I thought it would be nice to have like a step ladder. I have built this before for like I think I did a miniature farm or like a retirement apple farm. I don't remember what I called it, but I created something like this for that. And then when I tried to recreate it for this build, I couldn't get it to line up, and it just wasn't working for some reason. So I spent ages trying to redo it. Thankfully, I saved it to my library now, so if I want to use it again, I don't have to rebuild it. So on here, I have included the chicken coop. They can get up and over the bridge, but if you don't want them to, then I'm not really sure how you would. Maybe you could put like a fence around it or something. I don't know. I would suggest lifting the bridge up because it's on like a platform, but I've built it on a diagonal, so your sim then won't be able to get up to it. Although your sims can walk through the stream, so maybe if you just deleted the bridge altogether, then the chickens won't be able to leave the little island. I think that would be an option. So we're moving the waterfall again. I don't really know what happened. It just suddenly decided to move. But we are moving on to the terrain paint. I literally spent like an hour doing this. I really wanted it to look natural. I guess most of the time I just stick a path down, put a little bit of dirt shadow underneath my plants and leave it at that. But this one I felt like I wanted to put a little bit more effort into it. So there isn't very much room in terms of landscaping space in this one. Once I'd kind of put all of my items that I wanted down, and once I had put like the terrain paint and everything down. So I do kind of, I guess I trace out where I want the landscaping to go. I, like I said, don't include it, but you will see it in the tour at the end. I really like the landscaping I did on this actually. I've only used like maybe 3 or 4 different like bushes and plants and flowers, and then a whole bunch of different grasses because I really wanted it to look not necessarily overgrown, but just not completely clean cut, because obviously with the world as it is, if you don't include any landscaping, the grass is like completely flat. There's no texture to it, and that to me just doesn't look right. So I wanted to make it look a little bit more natural. I've pulled some of the terrain up around the back of the house. I don't include any more than this with the terrain tools. I kind of either use a lot of terrain tools or I don't use any, and I don't really know like why. It's just something that I do. But I thought a completely flat lot didn't necessarily look overly natural either, even though the rest of the world is completely flat around it. I thought I would just pull some of it up just a little bit over the back, just to give it a little bit more of a, I don't know, shape to it, even though you can't see it because it's at the back of the lot. But I'm still doing the terrain painting, as you can see, because it literally took me forever. Over here I've put like a little fishing dock. I've also put a couple of duck spawners over here too, but I thought it kind of looked like a nice place to fish. So yeah, I wasn't really sure what to include in the barn. Like I said earlier, I did want to put a tractor in there because I thought that would kind of be the most appropriate, maybe not time appropriate, but style appropriate. But it didn't really look right. I tried sizing it down, but it was still too big, and then to kind of get it the right size to fit in, it was a little bit, I don't know, disproportionate to my sim, so I end up just not including it. So these are the things I was talking about earlier that I decorate the roof with. I really liked the look of them. I have used like debug beams in the past, which I think look really cool, but now we have these. They clip right onto the roof really nicely. And then these are the fence pieces I mentioned as well from Get Together. I think they look really nice as just extra detailing. They don't cost anything, so you know, it's a win on that one. But yeah, I think they just look really nice. They also add a little bit more texture, I think, and depth and color, because this roof is very bright, I think, compared to the rest of the house. It kind of just brings it together a little bit more. I have used, I don't actually know what they're called, these things on the corners from Seasons. They don't match quite exactly, and the darker swatch is like a little bit too dark, but I still think they look pretty cool. So once I have finished posting these things, I end up moving on to the interior. I actually really like what I did with the interior on this one. It's a 3-bedroom house, and then downstairs there is, I guess you could use it as a 4th bedroom if you wanted to, but I have decorated it as like a homeschool room. I've done what I always do and done the floor and the walls before I have furnished. I think it gives me more of an idea on like where I want to go with each room, and it also helps with my like color theming for each room too. So in here is the kitchen. Out on this little balcony area out here, I have included some laundry space. I spent ages trying to figure out the color of these. I really wanted them to match, but they just don't. They're not from the same pack, so I'm not surprised. But I ended up going with this wooden one because I thought it was a little bit more appropriate. This brick wall is from City Living and I absolutely love it. There is another one very similar from Yet Famous, which has different color swatches. This one, it's literally just that swatch, but I still think it looks really nice. I don't include too much of the decorations and everything because I didn't do the decorating by room this time. I did it by category. So I went through the categories and basically just picked out a whole bunch of different items and placed them in the rooms that I wanted them. So the footage was very jumpy, very all over the place, which is unfortunate. But whenever I have done it by room before, I always miss things out that I want to add, and it's just I get sad. So I've just done it this way this time just to see if it made any difference to like my, I don't know, decorating and how happy I am with each build. I have got a ceiling replacement mod in my game, as you may see throughout me decorating this. It's a new one, I think. I only downloaded it today literally for this build. In the past I have used the like drawing walls and adding, I don't know what they're called, the like beam things that go from the top. I've used it over the kitchen. I really don't remember what they're called. But when it comes to gameplay, it's literally impossible to play the game because you can't see what you're doing because these giant beams are in the way, and it kind of makes me sad because I want to use them. I really like the ceiling feature, like the decoration, but it's just so hard to play the game with it. So I thought a ceiling replacement mod would probably be better because then I still get the nice like ceiling beams for my screenshots, but they don't get in the way of me playing the game. It just means that anyone who downloads this, just if they don't have the mod, they just won't have a painted ceiling. That's all. It doesn't mean you can't download it. So these bedrooms up here, I have included one for a teenager and one for a toddler. It literally took me ages trying to figure out the like layout of this bedroom. After watching several other people decorate rooms and houses, I've kind of gotten into a habit of none of the beds face the door and none of them are in the same direction. So it makes furnishing a little bit more challenging, but I think it definitely improves the look of them because they don't all look the same then. They kind of have more of a personalized, unique style to each room. So as you can see, I have used an awful lot of colour and it's not very medieval friendly, which I was going more of like the fantasy route, I guess, in terms of furnishing. I wanted it to be very bright and colourful, but still kind of in keeping with the medieval style, I guess, just not with the colour. But we are almost at the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the tour at the end. Let me know what you think and I will speak to you all next time. Bye everyone.